LCD television broadcasts 24/7 on UK Freeview Channel 271, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, Google TV, C Love World, LCDNTV.com, LifeComTV.com.
Good evening. My name is Lydia Khalil. Welcome to another Conversations with Lydia. Today I have with me two ladies who work in the media. We're going to talk around the power of the media, how it influences us, influences our decisions. They're also going to talk about their generation, how influential it is for them, how it impacts, their well-being and their mental health. Two very gifted young ladies. I dare say high flyers. So if you join me as I welcome Abigail and Sam.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, ladies. Thank you. Thank you for joining me today. I know you all are quite busy. Well, actually, you talk about yourself, because I was going to go right into the question and ask you how work has been since COVID. Actually, we're now in the second lockdown. So, But first of all, let's know a little bit about you. So, Abigail, you go first.
As Lydia already said, I am Abigail. I am a tech reporter. I cover news like cybersecurity, data center investments. I also do a lot of financial news as well. Obviously, COVID-19 has expanded my coast and has made working from home a bigger challenge, but it's been an experience, and I'm glad that I'm still working. A lot of people in my company were made redundant recently, so I'm just blessed that I am amongst those that have managed to keep my job. On the side, I also have a podcast. I won't say the name because I'm not sure if I'm allowed to. No. We talk about
no, you can't say the name, but you know how you hashtag and black it out anyway.
Yeah.
Because I listen to it, but
which is so good.
We won't talk about the bits in the middle. No.
We won't. We usually cover topics that relate to being Black young women in the workforce, being being a Black woman in the UK, and some of the struggles and triumphs that comes with. I also have a children's book that I wrote with my sisters called I Learn to Recycle. So that is me in a nutshell.
Okay. Sam?
I'm Sam. I'm a journalist at CNN and mainly cover the likes of Brexit. We cover the regions such as Africa and Asia. So we've recently done a lot of work on SARS and a lot of work in Saudi. So every time you watch CNN and you're seeing something that's not in America, I'm probably behind some of those packages. And I'm also a co-host on the podcast that Abby's on as well. And that's me in a nutshell, really.
And there's a third musketeer, the third person.
We have a third member
in the team, in your podcast team. I know she couldn't join us today because of work. So do you want to sort of say hi to her so she knows we're thinking of her? She's
Make sure you listen and share this. You're not here.
Okay. So what sort of took you down this road? I was going to say something about SARS, but I thought I'll leave that. So what took you down the road of sort of the media? Because both of you work with the same things, similar, different organizations, but similar. So how did you sort of chart your path? Because when we hear a lot about media, we know it's television, we know it's radio, and more now recently, we know it's what we can do with our phones. So how did you guys navigate your career path?
With me, I started off in university studying English, and then I did Mandarin as like a add-on to my degree. And I realized that I didn't really want to do that, and I didn't have a direction when I came out of college. I just thought, the next step is to go to uni and just study something. So then I quickly realized that, you know what, I need to focus and think of what I want to do and what I'm good at. So I kind of played off my talents and just I knew I was good at telling stories. I knew I was really good at, with the English language. I knew how to tell a story very well. And I just thought, oh, what profession would that, that kind of skill go under? And then obviously journalism was one of the main things. So I then left my first university and then decided to study again, but this time study journalism. So I did first, for my undergrad, I did marketing and journalism. And then I did a master's in broadcast journalism where I met Sam. And then just went from there. I just knew that, that was definitely the niche that I wanted to go into. And that was the industry that I definitely wanted to be in. Because I kind of knew that was where I fit.
Okay. Sam?
For me, from a young age, I kind of knew that I wanted to be in the media, but I didn't know what exactly I wanted to do. I loved watching documentaries, and I also did pageants. So I knew I wanted to be in TV or on camera. So yeah, I went to uni. I studied politics because I also have a passion for politics, and I don't know. I always feel like maybe we should all have like a plan B just in case plan A doesn't work out. So I think my plan B career was to be in politics or combine the two and become a political correspondent. So yeah, I went and studied politics and international relations for my undergrad, and then I did a master's of Abbey in broadcast journalism. And then after 6 months of job hunting, I finally got an offer at CNN, and yeah, the rest is history, I guess.
Okay, and you have an interesting story talking about working for CNN and your family. Do you want to share that?
Oh yes, how I from like a young age, I always used to tell them that I wanted to be like a CNN correspondent, and everyone's like, "That's so random. Not many people look like you." I think at the time, the only woman of color was Amanpour, and my dad used to just roll his eyes and he was like, "Yeah, you're right. You should just do nursing or something." And I was like, "No, I'm going to be a journalist at CNN." And I was about 6, I think, when I first started telling people. So when I got my first job there, it was just like it was a full circle moment where it's just like everything that I've wanted has now just finally happened now. So that was yeah, a lovely full circle moment.
Yeah, so I guess I wanted you to talk about that because we have to believe that dreams do come true. Yeah. And how important do you think education is?
At first I come from a family where education is really pushed on, but I feel like we are moving in a society's changing, and I feel like sometimes going to uni, getting that degree, getting that master's isn't necessarily the right path, because I've seen a lot of people in my industry who are not as, on the same level as me academically, but because of social media, because of them like using other resources, they've managed to like go forward and get opportunities that I can't even get on because I have a degree, I have this, but they have experience, they have, let's say, 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, and they know how to bring an audience. Employers are looking at them more because a lot of things are going on social media now. So if you have a big following on social media, it feels like employers would rather hire you than somebody who's a trained journalist.
Okay. Abigail? What?
Yeah, I completely agree with what Sam says. Like we had the conversation earlier about, just how far our degree has taken us. And, had we, done more with YouTube and done more with social media, because that is what, especially with the media, that's where everything's going now. And with COVID, everything's online anyway. TV is like going to become a thing of the past. So, just seeing how, that differentiates, it would be nice education to me, I always believe it is important though, because it gives you connections. Like I would have never met Sam and Lola if it wasn't for our masters, and I wouldn't have ever had opportunities like working at Channel 5 and working at ITV and stuff like that. So it's a balance. I would always, like, if I had children right now, they're definitely going to uni, basically.
Yeah. Well, I can see Sam is nodding, because what she was saying, but you could have done, there are some parts you feel you could have done better without the education, because other people seemingly, but I feel I'm one for education, but I think why I was bringing it out was because both of you had looked at what you were skilled, what you were good at, what your talents were, and managed to marry it to get a career. Yeah. So I guess it's not just going to uni for the sake of going to uni. It is trying to figure out what it is that, I mean, Abigail, you made a change when you sort of thought, this is what I like, but it's not giving me the fulfillment I want, and sort of thinking through what it is and which path I would like to go. So would you think, if you were not educated and Black, would the challenge be more? Would it be more difficult for the doors that have opened for you now? Because both of you are really good jobs, which you have gotten out of, the merit of your work. But if we bring color into it, and education, which I think, did you feel the education at least helped to make a path?
Yeah, definitely. I wanted to start by saying where I grew up in a predominantly Black area, and there's certain opportunities that, had I not gone to university and had I not even done my master's, I would have never had access to. So after I finished graduating from my first university, it was the world of journalism kind of felt like something that I just couldn't scratch the surface, couldn't open the doors. I was working at Ben TV, which was absolutely fine, but it was like through connection. But then the second I got into the masters, it was like a whole new door that, had I not had that education,
opened that door.
I would have never been able to get into.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like everything that we did was it was calculated. The reason why we chose City was because City was the Oxbridge of journalism. I wouldn't have gone for a master's if I wasn't going to City, but I knew that positioning myself and putting myself around this particular group of people would open doors. I mean, was it worth? I mean, you don't just pick a uni and pay £10,000 just because it's fun and you want a degree. I went in there knowing that the connections I'm going to get, the training I'm going to get, is going to take me to another level. And being the only Black females on the course, already people on the course were looking at us funny, which is kind of the same response we got in the workplace. But because we went to City, people look at you, they're shocked. Oh, you went to City, because it's a school where the top journalists in the country go to. So the fact that you're able to say, I'm one of the top people, was one of the reasons why I went to that specific uni and studied that specific course. I mean, the same way people go and study English at Oxford, the English they teach is no different, but the network and the people that you're going to meet there opens doors for you, definitely.
Yes, I remember attending a master's graduation, and I will never forget, the keynote speaker said, in life, it's not what you know, it's the people you know. And he was saying to the graduates that, make sure you stay connected to the people who are, your classmates, because you'll all bring yourself up together, which is what you guys have done. You sort of you have firm friendships that are, that are not just on, okay, I'm going to say hair and makeup now, and then people will kill me after, but it's not just about that. It's about forging a way together forward, and making a difference, which I think it's important. And I'm asking these questions because there are going to be loads of young ladies who are looking at you. So there is somebody else coming up behind you. So the parts that you guys are making now is just to make it easier for the person who comes up the ladder, after you. So hence the sort of long talk. I was going to ask, well, since we're on the topic, do you feel that Black people are or how are Black people represented in the media? Do you think?
I mean, it's funny you bring that now. I don't know if you've seen the drama with the Sainsbury's advert.
No, I read of it, but I haven't looked at it. Yeah, I read about it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like companies are doing a great job now representing us nicely, and the advert was beautiful. It was just a Black family having a Christmas dinner as you do on Christmas Day.
Mm-hmm.
But sadly, the response from the general public was quite sickening. A lot of people were very upset. And I don't know, thankfully, I don't know, Sainsbury's made 3 adverts. So one was a Black family, one was a white family, and I'm yet to see the third one. But the Black families one came out first, and it upset a lot of people, which for me was heartbreaking because I didn't realize that seeing a Black person on TV triggered people so negatively. So yeah, in a way, I think brands and companies are trying, but also the audience needs to be open to receiving it. And it seems that people are not open to seeing Black people on TV. Tesco ended up dropping their advert of a Black couple because they saw the backlash that came from Sainsbury's.
Mm-hmm.
So, in as much as we can do all our best to put representation out there,
Mm-hmm.
if the audience don't want to see it, it makes it a little difficult.
Okay.
I kind of have an opposing view from Sam because I feel like they're not doing enough. I feel like a lot of companies are still not. I almost don't feel like they're even trying. I feel like it's very surface level. It's very performative. It's very, give the Black people what they want and
a token.
Yeah, very tokenistic. And to me, I kind of feel like if you really want to break the mold, you have to have these uncomfortable conversations. You have to, broaden it, not just, okay, we get that one Black family on Christmas and that's it. No, whether or not the audience is, sick and tired of it, or, people, some of the comments they were saying like, oh, with Sainsbury's one, someone said, oh, is this Christmas in Nigeria? Well, no, because there are Black people in the UK, so it's not Christmas in Nigeria, it's Christmas in the UK. But, things like that, the company shouldn't let that even affect them. You should represent everyone and try harder. I just don't believe that they're trying enough.
Mm-hmm. Because I think that there is, there's a lot of talk now about this unconscious bias, which actually most people would have said they're not racist, but when they see those images, something triggers in them, which I think a lot of times the Brexit thing really fed into it, because a lot of people became nationalist and all of a sudden there was a big divide as to who were originally British and who were the foreigners. So I think, in some way that idea that this is actually what represents the United Kingdom, not just the white family having a traditional Christmas, because for them, I think the concept of a Black family having a traditional Christmas means they were taking something away from them that was genuinely theirs, to have, and now it looked like we were coming to take that away. I think that's what the advert sort of speaks to them. So this idea that we're still struggling. How do you think that now impacts everybody? Like impacts. Let's even look at it from a child's point of view, mentally. Because I think children tend not to really notice too much of all of this. Yeah. So a young child may not really be thinking color, but until somebody gives them the notice. So when something like that goes out, there's outrage in our community. Like, how can this be going on? It's still 2020. How do you think that impacts some people? Not all. Some. How do you think the impact is for them?
I think it's causing a bigger divide because, especially with Black Lives Matter, I saw a lot of my white friends and of my Asian friends who were silent. The one time that we needed you as Black people to support us, you became silent. And for me, that made me look at certain people a certain way. And I really ended up just scratching them because I felt like the one time we need you to back us up, you're all quiet. All you had to do was just hashtag and upload a picture, but you couldn't even do that. So for me, it's definitely causing a divide, because if you don't care about Black Lives Matter, then to me you're racist. Therefore, I can't associate myself with So I had to cut off a lot of people because you clearly don't care about black people, and if you don't care about black people, you don't care about me. If you're offended by Sainsbury's advert, then you're racist. So I'm just gonna remove you from my life because I don't need somebody like that. So I think it's causing a divide and making people realize, okay, this person is maybe a bit racist. They might be my friend. I might be their black friend, but they don't like black people.
Mm-hmm. How do you think it impacts us?
I think when you
do we now become ashamed? Do we now step up? Because Sam's done something which is like, I'm rid of those people, but mentally it must do something for us.
I think I had 2 points. One point was about, how it would affect children. I remember seeing, some of the old cartoons like Tarzan. Disney has now put a warning sign at the beginning of Tarzan now saying, this is not a good representation of a ethnic child or whatever they've said. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to be woke about it and trying to be conscious of it. But children, no matter what, the divide children will, understand that, and how it affects us personally. Like Sam said, you either, ignore it, or you take action and say, well, you know what, these people in my life aren't supporting me as a black person, so I'm gonna throw you away. The other option is to be silent and get on with it, but it's hard when you are in the middle, where it's, let's say, for example, co-workers. What do you do then? You can't, throw them in the bin. You can't, keep them from your life because you work with them, but they're not supporting you. But then they're your colleagues. So it's a mental struggle, definitely a mental struggle.
And this, I think, when they're seeing people, I think when they see black people either in dancing or singing or music, it's okay, or sports, because that's what we're known to be. So that's it's okay. Yeah. So it's okay to be a footballer, for example, and you can have maybe even a white child has a poster of a black singer or football player. But if it's something that represents something different, like a normal family having, just not what they imagine, that all black people are running around with guns and, dressed with their trousers halfway, then it sort of messes with their minds, quite honestly. I've heard even comments like, okay, you're okay for a black person. Have you ever heard that when they say that, like, you are acceptable, but I don't know the rest, the rest of your tribe or those people. So I think there is the idea that is acceptable, what they deem acceptable. So music, sports, dancing, those things are acceptable. But when it's professional, important things like political, having a say, or actually our lives matter, then it's a different thing. People sort of step away a little bit from it. Okay. How do you think media is impacting? I know now, like, every time we sort of we got used to Facebook, and then it was Instagram, and then it's Snapchat, and I hear there are like a few more.
Yeah, TikTok.
Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok, that's the video one, right?
The dancing one,
I'm not that behind. Okay, so how do you think all of that feeds you guys mentally? Because I think we're influenced a little bit by Facebook and Instagram, but some of maybe my generation can actually step away, because I know loads of people who don't have Facebook accounts or Instagram accounts, but I don't think hardly do I know any young person who doesn't have one social media account. So how do you guys manage all that stuff that is coming at you?
I think you just have to be a strong-willed person. For me, social media is just something that I use for my entertainment. It's not something that I take seriously and religiously feel like this is my life, it's my holy grail, and I'm getting inspiration. Maybe if I want like a nice cute outfit, I'm gonna go and see the latest trends on outfits. But in terms of it dictating my life, if it wasn't for our podcast, I don't think I would actually be that active. I mean, once you log in, you see what your friends have uploaded. I kind of just log out, or I go on Shade Bar and see what all the latest celeb gossip is, and then I just kind of log off. I feel like it's getting hard for the younger generation, they are the ones who are really getting it full force because they've grown up with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from birth, they're being recorded. Their parents are taking videos of them from the womb, and you're already on Instagram. You have an Instagram the day you're born, kind of thing. So I think that generation is definitely the one that we need to watch out for.
Okay. So, I mean, say now, I mean, it's okay because you guys sound a bit grounded and quite, you know, stable in yourself. But I hear loads of times, even things like Tinder gives people the easy jibbies because, like, you go on 10 dates and nobody calls you back. Then I'm dealing with something. There must be something wrong with me. So, and I know it's about the likes, you know, how many people love your picture or take a like or follow you. So, for somebody who isn't, you know, that who doesn't have that sense, strong self sense, strong self, strong sense of self. Yeah. What can happen to that person? What can, you know, what happens when I'm looking at all these perfect pictures, or everybody's life seems to be so nice.
So yeah, so perfect. I think a lot of things. For example, even people that are quite grounded, like I think I would, call myself, someone that can, step away from social media. But I've
Mm-hmm.
had moments, especially with like things like filters, and a lot of people are using these filters to make themselves look absolutely perfect. And I remember I was recording something for work, virtually, and I looked, I was like, oh my god, what do I look like? No, I don't like this. I've got a spot here, and I just remember, nitpicking at that video, and I just thought, well, no, because that's how you look like, so get on with it. But because I was so programmed to always using Snapchat filters, that I was just so used to having that smooth look that the filter gives you. So things like that, that can play on your mental health, because you'll be looking at other people, and some of the filters look so good that you wouldn't even know it was a filter. So you'd be looking at, let's say, a woman that's maybe your age, and you're looking at her like, wow, she looks amazing, her body's fantastic, but not knowing that she spent maybe 2 or 3 hours editing those photos, and then that will make you depressed, and then you don't want to eat because you feel fat and ugly. And yeah, it's just, and it can happen to the best of us. I know, I personally, it's happened to me before, which is, something that I can be honest about.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I must admit that even I sometimes I look at, you know, like pictures and I think you should have posted that picture of me. I don't look nice in it because we're so. I mean, you know, once you put something on, there's no stopping it. It's just it's got a life of its own, so it can go anywhere. I was saying the other day, I went to a meeting and they had printed out like minutes and all of that, and there was a picture of me, you know, like in full sort of African gear. And I was like, where did you get that? And they all just burst out laughing that, oh, we just Googled you and it came up on the internet. And we thought it was a good picture because it shows that our committee has people from different ethnicities. I was like, this is not a good thing. Like,
Take it
so
down.
it can get you when you least expect it, because what, and that's just a picture. I think, I don't even know if I put it on Facebook. I don't know how, you know, it must have been somebody who put it on. So those things, they're there for a long time or forever, as they say. So I guess that's why people, you know, are looking at it and thinking people are watching and looking at the pictures and critiquing. Is, I think that's the bit that really gets us. So we want to have a perfect face or body before it goes out. Do you think your generation is more aware of mental health, mental illness, mental well-being? Do you think, are you guys more aware?
I would like to think so, but I feel like with mental health, we kind of look at it from an aspect of, okay, if I'm feeling depressed, then I must have mental illness. And there's other there's other aspects to mental health that's developing as technology increases, as, social media becomes more prevalent in everyone's lives, that
Mm-hmm.
maybe I feel like our generation hasn't quite pinpointed that kind of aspect, like how social media is affecting your mental health, and how
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
staying on an app for 4 hours, that is not a good. That's not good for your mental health. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
we've put mental health under the umbrella of, you know, if it's depression or if you're feeling sad, and that's quite it. So I'm like two ways about it. I feel like we're better than our parents, for example, but I don't think that we've quite got to grasp with.
Okay. And Sam?
Yeah, I think I totally agree with Abby, and maybe just lack of understanding because I've seen the word like depression being thrown about. I feel like it's lack of education. The amount of people I've heard them say they're depressed, and I'm really looking at them like, are you actually depressed, or do you just need to take a walk, or do you just need to, I don't know, jump up and down, or just take a nap? I feel like we are aware. They call us. What do they call us? Oh, there's a word that they call us.
Millennial, is it to do with the millennium?
No, there's something about us being super sensitive. So I feel like, yes, we're definitely more aware of our mental health, but I feel like we're also sometimes too aware of it that when you're feeling down, you think it's depression. But really, maybe you just need to turn your phone off and go for a walk or go to the gym or just need to read a book or you just need a change of scenario. I feel like, yeah, we are definitely more aware than our parents. And I think some groups in our group are maybe too aware. I know a lot of my white friends would perhaps be more open, say, "Oh, I'm depressed" or "I have anxiety," whereas my black friends, they'll just say, "I'm upset." Like especially my black female friends, we have this as black women, we are meant to be strong. So most
Mm-hmm.
times, you know, somebody's stressed, but I've never heard them say, "Oh, I'm stressed," until it's a really bad, and you know, maybe it's exam season or maybe it's a deadline at work, then you know, okay, this person's stressed. But I've never really heard Abigail or Lola, anybody say, oh, I'm depressed. Even myself, I've never opened my mouth and said that because I
Mm-hmm.
kind of just feel like it's a phase, it's a moment. Tomorrow you'll be okay. There's a better
Okay.
day.
All right. Have you guys heard this? We used to say it a lot, um, that black women don't cry. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you heard that. Yeah. Uh, and it sort of speaks as to how we all take it in, and then you just keep going. Uh, and there is no, and it can be seen as a sign of weakness, you know, if you cry. But it's not, it's sometimes it's not even about the literal crying, it's just about this idea that you keep going, you know, the bigger the odds, the more you're pushing through and pushing through. And we imagine that actually sort of taking it all in means that there is no impact, you know, it's showing some kind of strength, and there's no impact on all this trauma we are getting, one, you know, after the other, and there's no impact on somebody's mental ability. Okay, if we go back to that idea that, um, when we say mental health, we mean mental well-being. Yeah. So physical health, mental health, they're the same thing. When we're now going to mental illness, then we're sort of going into feeling unwell, but just in the head, in the head space. And quite rightly, what you said, Sam, is that I think Caucasian people will willingly admit when they're feeling anxious, when they feel depressed. Uh, for us, do you think it's a sign of weakness, or do we have more resilience?
I think it's both. I feel like we have more resilience and we've just been told, I don't know, but I mean, I'm sure with Abby as well, being raised by a single mom, we've seen our mom go through hell and back and still be strong, still go to school, still go to work, and still raise kids. So I feel like the environment we grew up in taught us to be resilient and it taught us to be powerful, strong women that you don't have a time to, you know, sit in the corner and cry because that's not going to fix your problems. You have to keep going. So I feel like it's a combination of both.
I would agree as well, but I would push more towards like feeling that if you do break down, you are seen as weak. Or, for example, well, with my mum growing up with, you know, just having a mom and she was quite young and she had young children, she never once showed us her vulnerable side. She never once showed us that it was hard everything that she was doing was so difficult ever. So it was only until we grew up and she sometimes you get a glimpse of her talking about, what it was like with young kids, and then she would talk about it, how she was really struggling. She would cry every night as soon as she put us to bed sometimes. And I'm like, wow, we never got to see that. So because we never saw that, I genuinely don't think that I can see myself as breaking down, or feeling like my whole mental state is just completely collapsed, because my mom never showed me that. So I have to push just how she pushed, because we've come out at the it's like light at the end of the tunnel.
But there is something about expectation. That's what you're saying. We're now given, or your moms have given you guys this mark, this benchmark. You have to suck it in and still deliver. And actually, it can be a struggle for when somebody who doesn't have that level of resilience, yeah, and they're feeling it. Because if you imagine that resilience is like an elastic band, or and if you pull it, for some people they will just come back to shape. Some people it will break them. Some it will make them loose. So you find that they're struggling. So are you saying that your generation, maybe for the women, we haven't actually given you permission if you have quite strong role models ahead of you? So the permission to because I've heard people say, or their parents have said to them, what do you have to be stressed about? You have everything, you have much more than I had when I was your age. So the rights actually to say you're stressed or depressed is somehow being taken away from you. Is that true?
Yeah, and I feel like we don't have the tools to deal with it either. Because, for example, when my little sister was stressed about her GCSEs, I feel like we weren't given the tools to even express to her how to cope with her stress. I was kind of like, well, it's almost like just get on with it, or don't be sad, wipe your tears, but still crack on. And we've never been given the tools to address situations like that. So, yeah.
And for somebody, not some people can just cry a bit and crack on with it, but for some people that anxiety remains with them because it wasn't worked out, it wasn't placated in some way. Sometimes, just like Sam said, it could be about learning how to cope. So it could be about going out for a walk, it could be about doing a bit of exercise, it could be a bit about doing meditation. So but what you're saying is that because when I mean my generation, sort of coped somehow. We're expecting you guys to cope somehow. So are you saying that your generation will still not seek counseling or therapy or outside help? Look, Sam's face just went like, what is she talking about? My mother would run me down.
No, funny you mentioned that. We had a friend at uni who was going through something, and she was like, "Oh, I've gone to the school counselors," and not even trying to be judgmental, but there was a group of us, and maybe there was about 6 of us. We all just looked at her with this side eye, like, "What on earth do you need counseling for?" And then she would give us like the paperwork she was doing for a counselor, and to me, I was like, "This looks like something that you'd get Zion to do, in nursery. Like, what is this?" But I mean, for her, that was an outlet. She knew that she couldn't come to her friends because we're not the best people when you come and you need actual help. I would just look at you and just tell you that you're going to be fine, because I don't understand why you want to talk to someone about your emotions. You can talk to us about it. I mean, I can be your counselor, but I'm going to give you tough love and tell you that you're going to be fine. But I guess she needed more. But I think our reaction showed us that we're very out of touch with our own mental health.
I think half of us didn't even know that the uni had counsellors. I'd never heard that you could go to counselling in uni. Wow. So you just
for free.
For free. Never heard of it.
Okay, but you would know to go to your GP, right?
Yeah.
Because it's amazing how we look after our physical health, but not our mental health. And it doesn't always mean that, I think most people think when you're going to a therapist, it means that you're a little bit off with the fairies. But no, it doesn't mean that. It just means you need a space to offload and work out, some anxiety. So when it comes to stuff like medication, people taking antidepressants, what does that mean to you?
I think everybody.
First, so she gets.
I feel like everybody has their own medication, and I feel like I don't know about you, Abby, but I know for me, mine is not antidepressants, but it's maybe a glass or a whole bottle of wine, and I'm okay.
So what do you call that?
Antidepressants.
So yeah, that's my medication.
So we'll add that bottle of wine on the list of antidepressants.
Yeah.
GP recommended.
Yeah.
Abigail, and you?
Yeah, no, it's a no. Swallowing tablets, I just don't understand how the tablets will make your mental state feel better. No, I no.
Okay, I think why I'm asking, because I would have imagined that you guys in your generation would be a little bit more, not enlightened, but a little bit more receptive, than my sort of generation.
I mean, maybe we're just like old souls, but I just can't fathom just the idea of how do we know that this medication is going to make me feel better, and what part of the medication triggers my brain to not be depressed anymore. And then depression, it stems from like scenarios. Let's say, for example, I've lost my house or I'm homeless. Me swallowing those pills, I'm still going to be homeless and I've still lost my house. So I don't really think they're helpful.
Okay. But you see, the medication is given because the symptoms you're feeling, you might not be able to function.
Okay.
Yeah. So some people have depression where they cannot come out of bed. Yeah. So their mental state has impacted them physically. So I'm homeless, but I cannot literally come out and find a job or find a house. Something in it has numbed me out. And sometimes, actually, just like we have a cold or whatever, some people's brains don't give enough hormones. So the medication helps them balance out. Now, everybody feels depressed, whether you call it low mood, but it's the length of time. Yeah. So you can have an off day, but tomorrow it feels better. And by the third day, you probably forgot. But some people, they feel that way for a whole, for a week. I know people who have depressive episodes for like 3 months. So you can imagine what it feels like for those people. And without their medication, they will not be able to function. Yeah. Some people need it because they can't work unless they take it, and it sort of calms them down, and then they can engage. So medication is useful for some instances. So it's like, let me use it like having a cold. Sometimes you go to the GP, they'll say, take some paracetamol, drink loads of fluid, and you'll be okay. Sometimes they'll say, buy a night nurse. Sometimes they'll say, actually, you need a course of antibiotics, still take your paracetamol, maybe even night nurse at night. Yeah. So it has a variation, and the medication you can take 10 milligrams, 20 milligrams, depending on the level of your anxiety, depending on really how disenabling you feel. So you're both looking at me like this is really strange.
I mean,
no, I was going to say with that, I still find it somewhat problematic, simply because you gave examples of like when you're sick. When I have a cold and I'm taking night nurse or whatever Calpol, my cold is going to go away after a week. Then I stop taking the Calpol. Once you start taking antidepressants, when is the finish line? Do you not just become then addicted or dependent on that drug? Because when do you know when, okay, I feel better now, and now I should stop?
Okay. No. People have that perception that if you start medication, you won't never come off. People do come off. Um, after a while, maybe they have some talking therapy. They combine it and then they ease off. For some people who their brains are not functioning properly, they're not making enough. They may have to take it for a lifetime. But that's the same as if you had high blood pressure. Yeah, it's the same as if you had diabetes. So it's just an illness that needs medication to balance it out. And I think if we even go back to how much trauma sometimes people suffer and it goes into their bodies, after a while, those things impact your organs. That's why people have high blood pressure, because the anxiety level is quite high, beating fast, and then it doesn't sort of settle and it goes really high when they're stressed. Yeah. So even though it's not something they feel in their head, it's something that can impact the rest of your body. So even diabetes sometimes can be triggered by stress. So there are things that come out because of not balancing our mental health that actually will impact the physical body. But for us, it's excusable to take medication for the physical body and not for the mental one. So I've given a lecture now on medication. Because I'm looking at your faces and thinking
it does make sense.
Yeah. So I guess that's really one of the reasons that I do this program, because a lot of times people are suffering needlessly. Yeah. So somebody who needs antidepressants, I'm not the biggest fan, but somebody who needs it, yeah, is suffering needlessly. Their families are suffering needlessly. People are not motivated. They might have mental health. They might be depressed. But because we're not allowed these words, allowed to be this way, we don't get help. So do you think, how do you think faith helps? Does faith help mental health? Does it?
I think so. I think that's a lot of what Black people use as a crutch almost. So whenever I in the past have felt depressed or I wouldn't say depressed, but felt low and felt sad, or things aren't going my way, or I'm struggling, I know my mom's advice would be, first of all, to pray. Like, there's never any other thing that she'll say. The first thing is pray about it. Anything I do in life, up until today, I want to make a decision, I want to apply for a job, my mom will say pray about it. So that's always been a crutch for me and my household. And I think a lot of Black people, we turn to the church and religion as opposed to seeking outside help or taking medication. And then it kind of sometimes does come across as I feel like we put so much importance on that if someone does, for example, say that they are going to take medication, we'll be looking at them a little bit with judgment, because we'll be thinking, well, actually, why didn't you just pray about it? Why have you taken it there, kind of thing? God is our Lord and Savior, which he is, but there is other avenues which I'm learning today.
Sam, for you?
Yeah, and I think I agree with Abby. I feel like in the African community, religion is something that most people turn to in their time of need. But I also feel like that is a problem in our community, because we're kind of out of touch with reality. Sometimes it's not God that you need to turn to. Sometimes you maybe you need to go to a therapist, or you need to get medication. I mean, I've seen a lot of my own family members who've not taken certain treatments because of their religious beliefs. To me, I'm like, you could possibly die. I mean, I'm sure God made doctors and he made medication for you to use. So you holding on to religion and saying that God is going to heal you isn't possibly the right answer. And I feel like that's probably the same stance that we take with our mental health as well.
I think prayer works. It's a wonderful coping mechanism. Yeah. But the Bible talks about anxiety. The Bible talks about fear. The Bible talks about depression. So all these things are real, but we want to imagine that they don't happen to us, and we just go to church and take this happy pill and everything is well. So I think for me, it's about bringing a balance. And then if somebody's depressed, then it's automatically they're possessed. And then we go into this whole different realm, which we won't go into today. Let's go back a bit to your program. I know we talked about it in the beginning. What are your hopes for it? What who I know you were talking about. I think it just started as something quite spontaneous, about three black women and what it felt like for you. So your world perspective, how the world was feeling, and how you were trying to find your place in it. But it's sort of gone a bit global. I hear from you all. So what does that feel like? And do you feel like a responsibility has been given to you now, how you present? So what are your hopes and aspirations for it? And we can talk about your name, where they can find you.
Okay, I'll let Abby do that part. But I feel like before this just started off as just friends, just having fun. But I feel like the last few months, especially in the pandemic, we've it's we've now seen it as our duty to like uplift people, to entertain people, especially during the first lockdown. We didn't even release an episode for a few weeks because we had never been in a situation where we're not in the same room. So we struggled to get that running. But then once we did start running, we realized a lot of people missed us, and a lot of people were so depressed that all our episodes after lockdown they skyrocketed because people just wanted something to listen to. They wanted to laugh. They wanted to cry. I mean, our episodes are a mixture of laughter and really emotional, educational stuff. So it was just like, okay, hold on. People are actually like looking forward to hearing us every week because they're stuck at home. There's nothing for them to do. So we've definitely become like a source of entertainment and motivation for people during the lockdown, which is something that we definitely didn't expect. So knowing that has definitely added more pressure to want to keep giving people content. But you never really know what people want to hear because sometimes people are in the mood for like a really serious topic, but then sometimes you do a really serious topic and people don't engage. But then we realize that because people are depressed, people are down, people are going through a lot right now, sometimes they just want to laugh, and we manage to just make people laugh. So yeah, it's just been a crazy like roller coaster the last few months, I think, especially during the pandemic period.
And another thing about the platform that I did want to make sure we mention is that we didn't realize how fast we would grow, and we didn't realize how many people that were outside of the UK would be listening to us. We actually have listeners in every, is it every continent? No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, we have listeners in every continent, which I don't know how some of the listeners, outside even relate to us, but they do, and it's amazing. And we have, especially our American listeners, because I'm just like, what do you even care about the UK for? But they do, and it's really nice and refreshing.
Mm-hmm. So what are you how you hope, what direction are you hoping to take it? Because I think now before it was just three ladies talking about stuff they thought was close to them, but now you're having to sense and filter what the audience would like next. What can we bring? So what hopes do you have for 2021?
Not giving away too much. I feel like, we're definitely going global, and we just want to make a noise and be heard everywhere. I mean, now they're hearing us in every continent, but I want us to be on your radio, on your iPod, on your TV, just anywhere and everywhere where we can just be heard and make noise and inspire people, make people laugh, and still educate people is what we want to do. So definitely, we're going global. That's what I can say for now. But yeah, I just want to take it to another level. Reach more people.
And also, we want to make sure that the average black girl, because we've seen a lot of people that are either celebrities or influencers or social, they have like millions of followers, make it in this space. And and only their voice is heard. But we want to show that your average Black girl can also be heard too and can also make a difference. So that's quite important as well.
Okay, so what's the podcast called, and how can people listen? Because it pops up on my phone when you guys have a new episode. So
that's nice.
Subscribe.
That's so nice. And we're called What the F. I'm not going to say the word. Is going on. So What the F is going on. And on Instagram, it's WTIFGO pod. And then that's the same for Twitter and Facebook. So you can listen to us on Spotify, on Anchor FM, and on Apple podcasts.
Okay. Thank you, ladies. I feel like I talked a lot today.
This is great. I learned a lot about medication.
Yeah.
So it could be a discussion, medication, not medication on.
Yeah.
People don't know, like even a third of what you said. So it is a really important thing because there's so much perception about, it numbing your brain and all these things. So I've learned a lot. So thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you for your time. And I wish you both the very best. And hopefully soon the third face and voice will join on another episode. Thank you. What a refreshing conversation to talk about the media and the next generation, how it influences us. And actually, I think I was surprised because I thought the younger generation or those behind us had a different stance on mental health. Thank you for watching. My name is Lydia Khalil. I wish you all well till I see you next week.
LCBN television broadcasts 24/7 on UK Freeview Channel 271, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, Google TV, See Love World, LCBNTV.com, LifeComTV.com.